Hey everybody, how are you? This is Andy with RS Experience. In today's video, I'm going to be giving a longer term perspective in the M2Cs. If you recall, I did a video a few months back. We'll put a link in the description below. I think it's my first driving impression. This one here is kind of like, let's talk about it some more. I've got, at that time, I think I had maybe 800 miles on the car. Now I've got a little over 2,200 miles on the car, so a little bit more driving experience in the car. So let's go ahead, let's jump right into it. Hey, I'm Andy, professional performance car driver with a passion for well-engineered cars and driving with friends on mountain roads. On this channel, I share with you my driving experiences and bring you videos on new gear and car reviews. So first, let's talk about, I'm going to talk about steering. So the steering in the car is really good. Whether I'm in comfort or sport, obviously comfort, it's a little bit lighter. Sport, it gets a little heavier. But I feel the steering is really good. I can put this car pretty much where I want to place the car. So steering is good. Steering wheel, as I said earlier, I don't have an issue with the thicker steering wheel. It's fine. Would it be nice if it was a little thinner? Sure, but it's really not an issue, guys. So steering is fine. Let's talk a little bit next about power. This car wants to get up and go. There's no doubt about it. What I enjoy in this car over the RS is the torque, right? So from a turbocharged engine, this has 406 pounds-feet of torque. The RS has 346 pound-feet of torque. So, and where I especially like it is when I'm powering out of a turn. Provided I'm in the right gear, when I power out of the turn, it's got some torque. Obviously, if I'm in too high of a gear, it wants to bog down a little bit. Otherwise, it's got some good power. Listen. So power, check. Let's talk about braking. So the brakes in this car, they're really quite interesting. Here's what I'm sensing. I don't know if you guys out there are having a similar thing. So early on in the brake pedal, when I mean early application, very smooth, I can modulate it. But when you get past, there's this certain point where you start to get on a little bit firmer, and boy, watch out, Mr. Squirrel. Boy, these things are grippy, and man, will they stop this car. I'll tell you what, I have no issues, no concerns, no worries about can I stop this car. I could stop this car. It feels like I could stop it on a dime. That's how good the brakes are. And of course, these are the ceramic brakes. They're huge. And for this car, man, they're really, really good. So brakes, A+ on the brakes. Let's talk a little bit about suspension. So most of the time, I have this set in my M1 settings, which are comfort steering, comfort suspension, and sport on the throttle. And around town, I like it. It's very compliant. It's easy to move around. I like it a lot. It feels good. When I was in the mountains, I don't know, about 3-4 weeks ago for the RS Experience Lakeview Rally, I got to drive this on the tail of the Dragon and drive it on some of the roads down there in the mountains. And there I was putting it in M2, and the car felt really good. It felt planted. My friend was driving the RS behind me. So I was driving the M2, my friend was driving the RS behind me, and he said that the car looked flat. He says, when you were going around the turns, that car looked totally planted. The car never got loose on me. It never broke away on me. I never felt like, oh my gosh, I'm pushing it too hard. And I'll tell you, I wasn't pushing it too hard. So, I can't necessarily compare it to me pushing the RS really hard, because I know I wasn't pushing this car. One thing I'm still getting used to, guys, and that is turn entry. I'm braking, you know, you're kind of getting onto your brakes. I do a little bit of trail braking into the turn, but I still have this feeling like this car wants to push. And I think that's all because of the weight, and I also think it's because it's in my head. Here, let's listen to the engine. That was about 4,500 RPMs. So it just feels like maybe all in my head, but I feel the weight in the front, the engine, right? And it doesn't push. I don't feel like it pushes. I just get the sensation that it's going to push. I know you're going to say, what a wuss. So anyway, that's still a piece of this car I got to work on a little bit. So I still have to get used to that with regard to the suspension. Otherwise, very compliant. It feels really good. And this car is much easier to drive on the highway than the RS. I mean, my friend Alan and I drove down to the mountains in this because I had the RS shipped down to the event, and it's so much nicer driving in this for 5+ hours than driving in the RS. So suspension, for what it is, in the M2Cs, I give the suspension flying colors. It's really good. Okay, next up, let's talk about transmission. So overall, I'm fine with the, I have the 6-speed manual. I think you all know that, right? I don't have enough information to give a good description of, is it rubbery, is it this or it's that. I think I need to live with this for a while before I even think about like putting in a short shift kit or anything like that. What I do notice and what I will share is between first and second gear, I'm really working on getting smooth between first and second. That area there I still feel a little clunky with. It's not as smooth. Second to third, third to fourth, all the other gears I'm fine. It's just that first to second transition, I'm working on that. Again, maybe that's just my style driving, manual transmission, but yeah, let's just say I'm working on it. But transmission is fine. I haven't had any issues. The rev match I'm fine with. It was really helpful on the Dragon when I was driving on tail of the Dragon, having the rev match so I didn't have to screw around with that. I pretty much stayed in second and third the whole time there. So that worked out fine. Next up, let's talk visibility. Visibility is awesome. So looking out, you know, getting the rear view mirror set, the outside rear view mirrors, the rear view mirror here, any blind spots, you know, whether it's the seat headrest, C-pillars, anything, visibility is really good. I have no issues with visibility. And one of the things you probably can't tell from this video, I do have the exposure turned up a little bit, so sorry about that if it looks a little washed out. Sometimes I do it and it's all dark in here. We did an Instagram story here recently. I've got the windows tinted. It's been something I've been wanting to do for a little while. Just wasn't able to coordinate that when I got the PPF done on the car. So what we've got is we're using, this is ceramic window tinting, I guess they call it. And what I've got is 35 on the sides, 35 on the rear, and I have some in the RS on the front, so I actually do whatever the lightest is. I think it's 70% on the front window. And I find that it helps, whether it helps on, you know, some of the heat reduction. Looking out the front window, I don't have, you know, the glare. Like right now, I don't have sunglasses on. It's not an issue, although I would like sunglasses on. I just feel talking to the camera, it's better without them. iDrive, it's fine. I'm having issues with the Waze connection. I don't know if somebody else is having that. Sometimes when you start Waze or you stop it and then you flip it up, it turns off the radio. You got to go and put the radio, plug it back in again or something. I don't know, just some weird stuff. I did use the navigation. I tried the BMW navigation. I thought it worked really well in the way I can zoom in. I liked it. Also using the voice control for a destination and telling it where I wanted to go. I actually got that to work. Woohoo! I was all excited. Don't let go of the steering wheel, Andy. That was good. So far it's good. I like the tire pressure and the tire temperatures. It was really helpful down in the mountains. The one day when I was pushing the car a little bit, we did make an adjustment to air pressure because they were building up. So I did that. I thought that was really good. So iDrive, so far, I'll say good. Climate control is really good. I can put this thing on max AC and it really cools the cabin down. You know me, I'm still anal about no sync, so I gotta, when the two temperatures are different on each side, it kind of bugs me. But the temperature wise is good. I also like BMW has this ability up in the upper center vent to control the temperature out of that vent. I kind of like that because there's times where you might want it a little bit warmer, you don't want it as cold, and I like the ability to adjust that. I like it. It's pretty good. What else do I need to talk about? I don't think I talked about tires yet. Let's talk about tires. So this car is equipped with the Michelin Pilot Super Sports, and I think they're a good all-round tire. They're not as grippy as the Cup 2, but for everyday driving, especially in the rain, this is definitely the better tire. So in the wet, I think the Cup 2s are fine. Notice I said wet, I didn't say pouring rain. In the wet, I think the Cup 2s are fine. If it's raining really hard, there's any kind of puddling, the Cup 2s feel like they will hydroplane. So that part, not good. These tires here, they'll channel the water nicely. They give a more compliant ride. I think some of that is the tires. Plus, it's the suspension of this car. So the combination of PSS, suspension, this car rides really nice. On the RS, combination of an RS suspension and the Cup 2s, right? That thing's gonna drive a little bit firmer. I don't really care about it unless I'm in the car for a really long time. But on the mountain roads, the RS is the way to go. It's so confidence inspiring. These tires have a 265 width up front, and so does the RS. The RS width is a 265. It's on a 20-inch wheel as opposed to these are 19s. But the front end on the RS just gives you so much confidence. I mean, so much confidence. Those of you that have never driven one, drive one. If you want to feel what it's like, you're ever out with me, we're at an event or we're somewhere, ask to hop into the RS. I'll give you a ride and you'll get a feel for what that front end is like. I mean, it's almost telepathic. I feel like in the RS, if I look where I want to go, the car will go there. I know that sounds corny, but it just does it. This car, like I said earlier, the steering's really good and whatnot. That's just fine. I'm just still getting used to Andy. I'm making up excuses here. I think it sounds like Andy's trying to get used to that weight in the front because Andy really hasn't pushed front engine cars that hard. All the driving that I do where I'm pushing, it's always in the RS, and rear engine cars pushing them, it's great. I mean, they do awesome. All right, so there goes somebody who's going to go really slow. So we'll probably have to go slow here. Otherwise, we're going to catch up to them real fast. So there we go. So what's coming up next? Okay, I know I've been talking about it. You guys are probably like, all right, Andy, like get to it. And that's the H&R Springs, what do they call them? VTF springs, kind of like height adjustable springs. So I got to get the H&R Springs put on, and I got to get the 10 millimeter wheel spacers. So we're doing 10 millimeters all around. I'm a little worried that it's going to be too much in the front. I may need to go to 7.5s in the front. One, because of some wheel rub, but two is really wheel poke. I really don't want the wheels poking out much beyond I don't want them poking out at all beyond the body of the car. I want them flush. So we're going to do that. I'm going to get that done here, hopefully over the next few weeks. And then we got to get that exhaust installed, right? I have the Active Auto Works equal length mid pipe, and I've got the Remus race exhaust as the center. that I got to get those in. I can't wait to get this thing turned up. As most of you know, I had the Dundon exhaust put in the RS, and oh my God, that thing is sweet. I'm gonna have to do a video of me just driving the RS, maybe like a 5-minute clip, and just listening to that sound, and that's all the video will be. None of Andy yakking away. So I have to remind myself to do that video. When I get the springs put on, we'll have a video, and then a separate video when the exhaust gets put on, okay? So that's it for this drive today, and an update of the M2CS. Like I said, we got about 2,200 miles on the car now. Check out our website too. Go to www.rsexperience.com and check out our upcoming event, the Forest Fling Rally. Yeah, you can read into that however you want to, but we're calling it the Forest Fling Rally. It's coming up August 26th to 30th. I'm really looking forward to it. We've had some people sign up already, so if you're interested, get out there, register. If you have any questions, shoot me an email. You can send it to events@rsexperience.com if you have any questions about our events. But anyway, I'm really looking forward to that coming up in August, and then we'll have events September, October, leaves changing colors. It'll be awesome. It's always beautiful in the Smokies that time of year. And then our last event, the beginning of November. So that's it, guys. As always, thanks for watching, and stay tuned to our next video. Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye.